All right, Dave, we got some goodies to talk about, some new stuff.
Yes, sir. We got these,
right.
seeing as how we're talking about marlin today, Boss sent some nice marlin lures in, and these are some of the lures they make. And he's been making lures, Boss, I guess, for 15 years now. They just changed ownership in 2013. They're still making the great stuff. All made in the USA. Some of the hardest, clearest urethane. This is actually a Kerry Chen model here. It's got the little Kerry Chen art in there. Makes it look kind of like a real dolphin in there. This is a jet face. You'd probably run it on a short rigger or even straight down the middle. This is a super plunger style. All of them are keel weighted. So what that means is that they're going to run in one aspect so that they don't start spinning and whatnot.
That's a good thing, yeah.
And I also have this is a cup face one. I like the dark colored lures because if you ever notice, all bait fish are dark on the top and white on the bottom.
Right.
I like purple and white or purple and silver because it makes it look just like a little tuna fish. But you know, blue marlin will eat anything. Sometimes you won't think that, but they will. This is also from Boss. This is a flying fish daisy chain. If you're going to be out there fishing for blue marlins, you might as well have one of these out too, because it'll catch a tuna fish, which is good for a bait, or it'll catch a dolphin, and it'll even catch, believe it or not, a blue marlin. Blue marlins aren't afraid to eat little things. They eat little ballyhoos that we pitch them all the time.
Elephants eat peanuts.
Yes,
I've heard
they
that many
do.
times.
And not only that, when you're pitching a smaller lure, a smaller thing to them, the hookup ratio goes way up versus a great big lure and a big hook. So use a small hook set and a small hook. That's, I think, a 7/0, and you can still. What's important is not how much you have the size of the stuff, especially your hook size. It's how much drag you're going to have on it. So if you're not, you're using 20 pounds of drag, you're not going to pull that 7/0 hook out.
Right.
And that's really all you're worried about. The next, you bought some cool Slayer lures from Jacksonville.
Yeah, my good buddy Chris, he makes these Slayer ink lures. They catch everything from bass to redfish to trout to tarpon. And this is his newer model. It's called the XL, the SST XL.
It's got a really good finish on it. I mean, it looks like they've been really finished. It's almost like a hard lure. So done so well.
One thing that's really cool about this bait is, the tail on this thing, no matter if it moves just a little or a lot, it's always thumping. He put a lot of work into making sure that thing's always wiggling. So that's good when you're, sometimes this time of year when it's warm, you want to slow it down, but it's always going to wiggle for you. A couple other little things is he's got a hook slot on the top, so it's when you've got it rigged weedless, it's always going to be weedless.
Right.
Another thing, he's got a slot on the bottom, which is kind of cool for this kind of bait. So when the fish bites it, there's not as much plastic to go through there.
Yeah, it doesn't have as much material in the way.
Right.
It's always good for any kind of bait, any dead baits or live baits for anything. If you have too much stuff in the way of the hook set,
it's hard to get it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the other one he's got that I think is kind of cool. This is his smaller paddle tail, but a weedless jig head, which you don't see a whole lot of.
Right.
It's kind of a cool setup because what we were just talking about, the hook doesn't have to come.
That's the old bass style. Yeah.
That's right, just like those old bass hooks he used to use for the bass worms. But the fish has less to push through. You can get hooked a little easier, and that stays really weedless. That works really, really well. But just a great all-around lure, and it makes all different kinds of colors.
Slayer Ink from Jacksonville. All right, we got that bomber down there. That's a new jointed wake minnow. It's called all water, which means you can use it in salt and fresh water. We'll go ahead and try to get it out here and try to hope I don't put a hole in my hand. Yeah, exactly. These are nice big black nickel. So they're really sharp.
Yeah.
That's a 5 3/8 inch, 3/4 ounce. It casts like a bullet. I like broke back lures because, like you were saying before, with the paddle tail, just takes a very little bit of movement to make that thing kick. And this one works actually a little bit below the surface. It's not on the top. It'll wake and it'll go right underneath the surface in a nice S wake.
I like
and
that.
That is a crusher because that's exactly what little mullets do. It's good for bass, redfish, trout, anything. It'll eat it.
Looks like a mullet.
Yeah, it does. All water, all the time. This is the Jackall lure right at the end here. It's made by Jackall. It's called the TN60. It's called the disc knocker as well. It's got a little disc weight inside. When it rattles back and forth, it really gives the lure a loud noise.
You can hear that. I mean,
it's loud. It sinks too. It's a sinking bait. If you notice on this little lip, it's got a little tiny tungsten lip on it, and what that does is it makes the bait stay horizontal when you're pulling it, but as soon as you let go, it'll stand up on its tail. And it'll also do that on the bottom too. If you want to bounce it on the bottom, it'll stand up on its tail like that.
Nice.
So again, that's the TN60 Jackall.
Cool.
So, there we go. That's
Thanks.
all of them.
That's good stuff, man. Thanks.
All right, man.
Man, with you two over there, the fish just don't stand a chance. All
Yeah.
that stuff looks so good.